Hello, Mrs. Funmi Adewole Elliott. Welcome to the Hub Conversation.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mercy. That's a nice warm welcome.
Yes,
I'm
good to
very
see
happy to
you.
be here this morning.
Good to see you. Just briefly, we're gonna have a conversation. It's the Hub Conversation where we connect communities, and we have some 100 people all over the place globally. And it's good to have you as a member there as well.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to be part of the global tribe.
Good. Um, let's see. The first time we met, you were on the set of Secrets of the Makaleng. That was a Dido dance company.
Yeah, you're taking us back now, aren't you? What was that? Was that to 98?
98, I think it was, because
1998, Secrets
yeah,
of Makaleng.
yeah, and I had come as one of the crew members of the video that was going to take place at the South Bank or something like that.
Yes,
Going to
yes,
be shown as part of the performance.
yeah.
But talk to me how you got to be there yourself.
Well, it's really interesting. That production, Secrets of Makaleng, I forgot who wrote it. It was a lovely writer of Caribbean heritage who wrote the script. But it was produced by Ajido Pan-African Dance Ensemble, which at the time was a flagship dance company for the Black dance, African people's dance sector.
Hmm.
And they were making a dance drama, but they wanted to do it. They wanted to have video, so they would have videos projected on the screen, which would tell the story. So instead of having a narrator on stage,
Hmm.
they had little drama scenes
Mm-hmm.
created on video, projected on stage, and these scenes would come up in between the dances. So you had these wonderful neo-traditional African dances that would come on stage, and then after a dance had been performed, then the video will come up. And I was one of the performers in the videos.
Mm.
So yeah, I played about three roles. Yeah, but it was great. I mean, it was sort of scenes from historical stories. There was one
Mm.
about the fight between, I think, the Zulu nation and the British,
Mm-hmm.
and Wole Ojo played the storyteller who was recounting the scene of the war. I
Yes.
think I played a sort of ancestor at one point, sort of narrating, a wisdom, a perspective.
You
Yeah, so
were you were dressed in white. I remember it was a sheet in white, and
yeah,
you
there
had
was one where
white
we
markings in
Yeah,
the.
we had white markings because there was one that was related to a ritual, a religious
Yes.
ritual as well. Yeah, so that's where I was sort of wearing
Yeah.
white. So
I think
yes,
yeah,
it was
I think
it was
the
great.
guy. It might be that the person who was producing the film was called Amani
Yes, and Mani Naptali, who
Naphtali.
is,
That's it.
yeah, a well-known, highly respected dance dramatist. I would say, he works within what we would call maybe say dance theatre. Still
Yes.
going strong, I'm hearing,
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
out there working. So I think I was contacted, I used to get a lot of my work by word of mouth. People will say, "Oh,
Wow.
we're looking for someone who can dance but can also speak," and that was sort of what I was known for. You
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Well,
and
thank you.
so yeah, that's how I came into
That was a
it.
good moment. Okay, let's go for another moment. The next time we met, I think, was at the Battersea Arts Center, and it was in the foyer.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
one
yeah.
of the things we talked about was the advert for Adido. I think they were looking for a leader,
Yes.
and uh, so I was working for Apples and Snakes then. Is this when you were working with Adad? So, if so, let's talk a little bit about Adad
Yeah.
and Dad, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, ADAD, the full name, Association of Dance of the African Diaspora. So
Mhm.
at that time, that organization existed to be a support organization for dancers who invested in doing dance forms like African dances, Caribbean dances, hip hop, capoeira.
Yeah.
And I had just negotiated a collaboration with Dance UK.
Mm.
because we, as an organization, we needed some support. I just sort of organized that. And yeah, that was started by Amare, who was at the time known as Sharon Ray, and she was the chair, but she had to move on. So I took over. And so we were based upstairs in the Battersea Arts Centre. Dance UK was upstairs, and I was the ADAD program leader working with them. Yeah, and we crossed paths. And
Yeah.
also because I had done some poetry with Apples and Snakes myself, I was quite excited to meet you.
Yeah, we'll talk about poetry in a minute, or storytelling actually later on. So
Yeah.
you've been instrumental in Dad and in my career as a leader of a dad.
Mm.
So what are some of the highlights? Just give us some snippets.
Oh, highlights of a dad. Well, what can I say? I think what immediately comes to mind were the Adad Days. These were organized by arts leaders like June Gamble, Deborah Badeau, and would come together maybe 2 or 3 times a year, take a dance class, have a discussion, eat together. Those were great days. And then the organization kept on changing. There were so many different iterations, and I would say the project I enjoyed most was I'd been doing some research, so I realized that we needed a sort of history of the dance companies in Britain. So I initiated this idea of doing the Adage Heritage Project. So we looked at dance companies and dance practitioners from the 1930s to the 1990s. We had an exhibition in the Theatre Museum. We had workshops. We had a year of workshops and talks, and we published a book. That was a big highlight for me. Another one was after that, I think Regeneration started.
Yes.
When I had left ADAD by this time, and that was initiated by, well, a range of people, including Jeanette Baines Barnett, all in collaboration with Beverly Glean and other people. So that was 2010, huge conference, of the African diaspora, people coming from the Caribbean, America. That was amazing. And then you came on board when Jeanette went on maternity leave, and you phoned me up and said, "Oh, I'm new to the sector. I'm coming from poetry. What do we do with dance?" And I said, "Hey, let's meet for coffee. Let's talk about this."
Yeah.
And then you did the amazing Bloom at
The
which we
South
ran.
Bank. Yeah.
It was at the South Bank, but then we did then you did one at the Horniman
Hallmark.
Museum.
Oh no, that was Bloom. Actually, I'm thinking about Regenerations. The Honeyman, which was in that was in
Yes,
2015 actually.
that was
The
2015.
Honeyman one. But the one I did Bloom at the South Bank, which was 2013. Was
Okay, yeah,
2012.
yes,
I
yes.
just came in and it was all set and it's like, okay, go on and do your thing. And it's like, oh my God, South Bank. Okay.
I remember that because you came on stage and the drummers wanted you to dance, and they kept on drumming. They kept on drumming, and you were trying to give a talk. And I remember you finally gave in and gave them the shoulder
Shoulder
wiggle,
dance. Yeah. And I was in a kitengi, like
No, it was a beautiful. Is that the Uganda one of the
one of the
Ugandan?
Ugandan traditions. But of course, as you know, these prints are all done in Europe. But
Yeah,
the idea is, the theme is got from the African kind of heritage and
yeah.
stuff.
So
But I
that was
want to take us back to what you talked about in terms of the exhibition. It's still running. It's still relevant and valid because I managed to put it at the Blackie last year, and it's now on exhibition until October 2026, and it's still
wow.
amazing. So we have to do a lot, I'm sure, and I hope that you will engage with that initiative again. And Dick and Colin Prescott, I think they were the three people that you were working
Yes.
with, you and Jeanette, and some other person as well. I can't remember who it was, but I think it's really important to kind of have those. I guess it's heritage. It's it's a heritage and a legacy of dance of the African diaspora. So thank you for that and your initiative. So you have been so instrumental in, without, getting your wisdom, wise counsel, it would have been a little bit difficult, I suppose. So, people like you.
I think it comes from being a storyteller. you know. I mean, sometimes we think of stories, the old stories, the
Yes,
ancient stories, but
yes,
we have to stop from time to time and think about what story are we in,
yes.
and how and what's the story that just happened before us. And
Hmm.
I think that's really what inspired the exhibition of dance companies, because we're working in a dance sector of dance companies and researchers and practitioners, and we have a story too, you know.
Yes, yeah, and it
Sometimes
should
we
be
only tell the
told.
story of people dancing within the ritual context or
Yeah,
dancing within the social context, but
yes.
there is a story for people that are also dancing as professionals or practitioners or researchers, and our stories are interconnected.
Interconnected.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. I love it. I really love that. And I love the fact that you're a multi-talented person. You
Oh,
know,
thank
you have
you.
so many different hats on. It's
Sometimes I used to think I was a confused person because I was looking in so many different directions, but I've got a handle on that now. So,
yeah. And we need that. And I think this is what we're encouraging our entrepreneur dancers or artists, because we are so many things in one. And that's the nature of our culture. We have music, dance, poetry, performance, acting, and all of that all in one space. So, by default, I think we should be many things
mm,
into one.
yeah, no, definitely.
So, okay, let's move to Hackney, taking you back. Bethnal Green. I came to the launch of your poetry book in
Oh, yes.
Hackney. I can't even remember what it's called, but it's on my shelf. It's green.
Yeah.
You wear it dressed in
Good
green.
sea salt in the city.
That's it, sea salt in the city. So tell
Yeah.
me more about your skill and the love of storytelling. I know you've started talking about the fact that it's storytelling, but I know you've done stuff with PACE, Pan African Creative Exchange. You've shown you've done some dramaturg, and we've done quite a few things there. So just talk to me about that.
I think to go back, I think it started when I was really young. I think I remember writing my first poem around the age of 4 or 5. And
Woohoo!
it was something my mother encouraged. And I also had a foster mother. So between me, my foster mother, and my mother, we used to they used to circulate my poems. My foster mother would keep them
Ah,
on her mantelpiece. When I got
oh.
to university, this is the 80s Nigeria. I'm showing my age. Um, I actually studied literature. I actually studied modern European languages, English and French, and I was, writing poetry there. We had some
Mhm,
great poets on team. The late Harry Garuba,
mhm.
Neo Shindare, who had just won the Commonwealth Prize for Literature. It was
Ah,
big. And then we had a poetry club, and it was there that I think the combination of movements and word came together, because we had an editor of the poetry club that was Soyon Shah,
mhm.
but I was the artistic director. So
Ah,
what I was doing, I started to stage poetry. So we have these small poetry performances. And I remember when Mandela was released, I did this evening work of poets and dancers and drummers, at the theatre. So I
ah.
was always in the theatre, hanging out with dancers,
What
taking
theater was that? Sorry, what theater was that?
the theatre department. So I'm talking about my days at university.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I was always I would do poetry readings with the English department,
Mhm,
run across to the theatre department and hang out in the rehearsals,
mhm.
and pick up things, skills, dances, and then I would go and you know artistic direct poetry performances. So that brought that together. And so when I came to Britain, I first started out as a performance poet with the Farrago Poets in
Mm.
Kensington. Yeah, so I used to
Ah.
take part in poetry slams, and that's how I, connected with Apples and Snakes. But then when
Yes.
I started touring, I became more or less the narrator in many of the productions I was in. The
Mm.
narrator, the person who used to move between acting and dancing. And so the 3 productions I did with Ajido, I was always in that kind of role, speaking a bit, dancing a bit, speaking a bit,
Mm.
dancing a bit. And then so
That
that's how I got
sounds
into poetry.
that sounds like movement direction in a way.
Yeah. So then when that book you speak about in Hackney, I decided to publish the poems I wrote back in university
Oh,
in the 80s and 90s. In the 90s, I was a runner-up to the poetry, a national poetry prize in Nigeria. So most people thought I was going to be a writer, you know. Then
uh-huh.
I came to Britain and I got bitten by dance and I went sort of in that direction. And then I wrote some poems in Britain and I decided, you know what, I want to wrap up that. And
Mm,
that's why I contacted an editor to help me edit the poems. And
yeah.
she was also a publisher and
Mm,
she suggested a publication.
mm.
Apples and Snakes sort of supported the event, and that's how we got to the poetry, that poetry reading and book launch
Yeah.
that you came to. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful, and it was just so amazing to see you in a different light, and it was just a good crowd, and I loved it. So last summer we worked together with Emergency Exit Arts EEA, which is in
Yeah.
Greenwich, and we, with your skill, we enabled the creation of the story collector.
Yeah.
I think she's got a name now, but I've forgotten what she's called. But she's roaming the parks and streets in Greenwich, and long may
Yeah.
that continue.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about that as well, just briefly, because I know we were working together, but it was such a joy to see an idea, a concept come into fruition and actually
Yeah.
now living on beyond us as well as consultants.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was you that dragged me into that, Mercy. You said, "Oh, I've come across an interesting organization in London called Emergency Exit Arts."
Yeah.
So, I came on a Zoom meeting and met members of the company, and they wanted to do this. They do a lot of public performance,
Yeah.
and we, in
Outdoor
through
and
discussions, we came up with this idea of a life size, well, a giant puppet, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
that could and we I mean, through discussion we called it the story collector, who goes around and collects stories from the community, and then performers perform with the puppet to tell these
yes,
stories. So it was really great. I mean, I was a dramaturg with the artistic director. Her name escapes me now. Very talented young woman.
yeah,
um and it was just to look for songs and stories and ways of working with the puppet.
yes. Was it Dawson, Camille?
Camille, that's her name. Yeah, Camille Dawson.
Yeah,
Yes, amazing young director.
yeah,
And she was part of the performance that we went to go and see in the park.
yes.
You know, and did the joyous but tough job of performing with the puppet.
Yeah, and
And,
two
yeah,
other
and two other
artists
people,
actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
manipulating the puppet's
yeah,
arms and
yeah,
managing a speaker with sound. Yeah, it
yeah.
was quite amazing. Yeah, I hope we could do more with that.
I hope so too. I hope so too. So watch the space. We'll be able to work with EEA on more of those and creations, and actually bringing out the African tradition as well in that arena, kind of the art.
Yeah, it's really good. What I've realized a lot as a performer within African theatres, theatre companies and dance companies, is that um we don't document very much
No.
and theorize the skills we use, because most of the skills I've used as a dramaturg have come from storytelling, African
Mm.
storytelling,
Yes.
and poetry performance, combining dance and movement.
Mm.
And also because I worked in television for about 3 or 4 years in Lagos before coming to England.
Ah,
And
yeah.
and these skills, they give you a perspective in so many different mediums. And
Yes.
the time is coming that, like you're saying, those skills of African storytelling we need to document. Because
Yeah.
I'm aware, am I correct in thinking, Mercy, that you did a BA in theatre arts?
Yeah, I did performing arts. My background is performing arts, and I did music, dance, and drama.
Yeah,
And then I got into film and video production when I came to England, and then, somehow connected with dance, and yeah, the rest is
yeah.
history. So
I
it's not
remember
about
the
me
first.
today.
Yeah. No, it's just that no, I'm just checking in with you that you understand the perspective of translating these skills across various
Yes, because
platforms.
even when I got into apples and snakes, of course, I
Yeah,
did other things like finance, and I did other things with housing, and all of that
yeah.
care, and then went back into the arts because that's where I really, really love to be. And I'm meeting such wonderful people, and I'm actually just getting involved with people, knowing what they're doing, being on several boards, and just hearing, I'm like a fly on the wall, seeing everything that's going on, and it excites me actually. So it gives me what I do, and carry on. So back to you now. You are an academic, a doctor, independent
Mm-hmm.
artist and dramaturg and storyteller, as we have seen, and many, many more things. You're in film as well, and all sorts. I'm delighted that you're launching your new website where
Whee!
people can find you. Talk more about this.
Well, Mercy, I have again to say that I'm doing this website because you gave me a big prod. I mean,
I poked.
I had sort of made a little blog for myself where I occasionally wrote a few things and put my CV. And you said, yeah, you really need a proper website. So
You're international. You
yeah,
go
I
places. You are everywhere. So where can we find you if we want to talk with you?
yeah.
Yeah.
But then I could see the wisdom of it. So
Yeah.
it's been a journey creating the website because it gave me the opportunity to reflect on my career and start trying to distill what I was doing
Mm.
and also to think about what I want to do next. So I decided last year to launch a platform. I can't call it a business yet, yeah, but a platform called FAE Studio,
Mm-hmm.
Funmi Adewole Elliott Studios,
Mm-hmm.
where I can start doing a personal projects and collaborations.
Mm.
And also from that basis, also work within project, leadership and management in the arts.
Mm.
And so the website has a tab for my professional practice where I can engage with people about arts consultancy, project management, and also a tab for FAE Studios where I'm working on two projects already. I'm
Uh-huh.
launching, yeah, I'm not waiting for funding. I'm going for it now. So I'm launching something called the Move Tell project, in which I am looking at professional practice as how it's evolved in the sector over the last 20 to 20, 25 to 30 years.
Yeah.
Mainly that which I've experienced, because I moved to England from Nigeria in 94.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also my solo performance project, because I have about 4 solo shows, which I don't think many people in London have seen because I tend to perform them everywhere else. I mean, I've
Yeah,
performed
everywhere
in
else.
South
And
Africa, Canada, um, up in Leicester where I live, but I
yes,
don't do very much in London. So I want to revisit these 4 solos, put them
yes.
into context, work with them. So I
Mm.
have those two projects going on. And hopefully, maybe after the first quarter, I'll start a blog because I'd like some things to sort of accumulate within these
Yeah.
two projects before I start blogging on the website. And I hope members of the hub,
Oh, yeah.
log on from time to time, maybe from March, and have a look at the stories. But right now they can sort of log on and
And see it.
connect.
Well, I must say that this is a soft launch. This is part of a soft launch of your website. So I'm
Yes.
delighted that I'm one of the first to be able to know, probe a bit, and know why you're doing this website. And actually, I can see the importance of it already. And I just feel like it's needed. And I know that, yes, you're doing this storytelling, the two projects and everything. But even though it's you're not highlighting academia quite a lot, but you are one of the renowned people who are in dance academia, in dance and stuff, and because of you we managed to do things like regenerations. We managed to to get literature like that, the exhibition, the books that have happened, Hot Foot magazine when I was working with One Dance UK. That's all somehow it goes into academia. So you're very much into that space still, not necessarily being, like the professor or whatever and everything, but there is something that you add to. academia, and you add to the story of dance. So I just want to acknowledge that before we even move forward into your artistic elements.
Oh, thank you, Rosie.
I am very delighted to be working with you at Kalma Arts and also being a tribe member in the hub. Oh, you did, I interrupted you in terms of the work that you're doing with your website, but we can talk a little bit more on that after I've kind of mentioned this. And because as a hub member, we have a few hundred members there and we're connecting globally, but you've helped us with creating one of the most important things that we have done as Kalma Arts. That's the KBE manifesto, and it's the Brief Encounter Manifesto, which everyone should engage with and make what they will of it. Whether they add to it or they remove or they
Mm,
query or it's an inquiry or something that triggers their mind, you really have to show it. It's on our website, obviously. As members, you should know where it is, but obviously we will put it there as well for people to kind of connect with.
yeah.
So, what does Kalma Arts and the Hub mean to you? And do you have any nuggets for it before can we continue?
Yeah, I mean, what Kalmar Arts means to me is what you said, global conversations. I mean, when you did the KB, which I think was a fantastic initiative, where you brought directors, artistic directors based in Nigeria into conversation with artistic directors in Uganda, for example. We
Yes.
had people from America speaking to other arts managers in London, and I saw the wealth of knowledge and the importance of those conversations that Hammer had initiated, because people started saying, yes, we experienced that too.
Mm,
And also they were saying, oh, we experienced that, but it's a bit different over here. And it's that kind of knowledge that started to emerge. And you know, it was during the pandemic. I mean, this
yes.
overlapped with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that was definitely came forward to me there, was that we needed to develop context for for different types of exchange, you know,
Mm,
peer learning, to exchange ideas, to support each other, to create collectives, you know,
yeah.
and to work in different ways.
Yeah.
Um, and to find different forms of exchange, which might not only just be money, but also exchanging knowledge or helping each other out, to give each
Yeah.
other, you know, professional support, but also, you know, that collegiality, you know, you need
Yes.
friendship as well. You need friendship or colleagues as well.
Yeah.
And I could see the value there. And the hub is a place where people can hopefully start off with those things. And I know you have plans to start facilitating more activity between
Mm.
people.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
yeah,
It was a start,
so
and it's difficult when you don't have funding. But I think sometimes, as you say, you don't wait for funding. You don't wait. You
yeah.
just do it. If you have the will, there's always a way. And for us, that story has been Karma Art's story. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
we know what's needed. We know, and I suppose because of the fact that we were with What Dance UK, we saw the gap. We're working with the diaspora, basically.
Yeah.
We saw the gaps and got to know about that. And so it's just looking at and say, what can I do that doesn't need a lot of money? What can I do that I can round up, that I can work with others without the resources? And then the resources would find us in order to enhance that. And this is what's happening. So I'm really, really grateful that you were part of the manifesto. And it's you think that it's a small thing, but it's big. And
Yeah, it's big.
I believe that it's now starting to unfold. We've already done the Black Dance Forum in at the Blackie in Liverpool, and the manifesto was a stimulus. We've
Yeah.
also connected with Coventry University, and they kind of did looked at the one of the 5 recommendations, and we focused on the policy brief, basically trying to create policy reform with dance. And I know that there's going to be loads more iterations. So thank you for
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm
that.
excited and looking forward to it, and looking forward to be part of it as well.
Yeah, I know, and we will continue. But I think I want to hear more, a little bit more about basically what I know that I was asking about what nuggets do you have for us, but I suppose let's go back to your website a little bit because we've got a bit of time just to talk briefly. what your aim is for this website. And I know you have the two projects, but I just want to see where you're going in the next couple of years.
Yeah. So, I think I just realized that in 2024, I would have spent 30 years in England.
Hoo-hoo. Yeah,
30. And
yeah.
then I thought, what have I done in 30 years?
Mm.
And I've put some of it out there, but there's a lot of it I haven't. And I thought I'm going to conceive a project, which I called the Move Tell.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And through this project, start sharing some of the information I have gathered from working with different people in different contexts and share it with professionals. And so I'm devising that over the next maybe year and a half.
Yeah.
And the website obviously is key to that because I'll be putting updates there once it's, starts developing, hopefully connecting with people through that and disseminating that information. So in a way, it's a bit of a legacy project, I think,
Mm.
So that's very important to me. And I hope, when I start doing updates, I'll be letting people in the hub know.
Oh, definitely. We'll be
Yeah.
linking with you. What's the
Then
link? What's the website? You need to share it. We'll put it on the screen, but I think you need to mention.
and me to share. To tell the truth, I have to actually look. It's such a new thing to have. But it's Funmi Adewole Elliott I just have to make sure it's .org or is it .com? I'm coming.
Elliot is double L and double T.
Yeah, Elliott is double L and double T.
Yeah.
Funmi Adewole Elliott.com.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well done on that. Well done. Well done.
yeah.
That's not easy. Yeah.
The other project I'm doing is what I call the Solo Performance Project. So I'm going to be doing a one-woman show on May the 5th, 2023. We've got a date
Yes.
in Leicester.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a show of about 50 minutes long. And it's speaking and moving, which is my thing. Yeah. So I'll be doing that. But in doing that, I know I'll be I'm also sort of documenting what I'm doing in the studio and starting to put into words and into essays and articles, colleges I use in making this work. Because I'm realizing that a lot of in dance and in drama, African theatre, we do a lot of oral history. So we pass down our skills, but in the studio, and it stays in the studio. But we need to start publishing some of this. We need to start sharing it as resources because our lifestyles are such that we're living in different places and all over the place. It's not like the extended families all living together and therefore we can just do that, So in a sense, both projects are kind of reflective projects, but hoping to share what I've gained. With other practitioners and people who are interested.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Funmi Adewole Elliott. Thank you. Glad to know you professionally and on a personal level. So do you have any last words for us before we close the conversation?
Last words. I would say stay connected.
Stay connected. That's the way to do it. And the hub is connecting communities indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mercy.
You've had Funmi here first. So watch the space. She's got loads to get to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.